Let me share a quote that has been shared by Richard Bandler, who's kind of like the founder of NLP, and Sue quotes him in her book NLP at Work. Let me take the book and read out the quote so that I don't go wrong there. We take the very best of what people do, synthesize it down, make it learnable, and share it with each other. That's Richard Bandler's quote for you. So, Sue talks about how the strategies of modeling someone can be employed. So, let me share that with my own experience of modeling someone who was exceptionally good at selling, right? So, you know how it goes when you're, let's say, new in an organization, and you're probably assigned a buddy, right? And you can learn from the buddy how to like pick up the ropes of the job or the role and find your teeth in the organization, correct? So, here's what happened. So I went to this, like I went to a couple of calls with one guy who was like excellent at selling, and then time passed and I realized that, okay, this guy is able to consistently like, you know, deliver his business and meet his targets, and somewhere I'm getting stuck. And especially I was having a huge challenge in terms of closing a sale. You know how it is asking a client for money or a check or that last 10 minutes, how do you manage the customer in a manner that he says, yes, I'm going to do business with you. So I was like really getting stuck because it was a new industry. It was in one of the organizations where I was in sales. So then NLP is a concept and modeling is a concept that I had been introduced to pretty much almost 10-15 years back. 15 years back to be very precise, and NLP itself is about 50 years old, and I realized that from the day one modeling had been like a really favorite subject of mine, and modeling incidentally happens to be the essence of NLP. So here I was determined that I'm going to want to be selling like that other guy or the star performer is, and after all I also wanted to see my name in the league table somewhere in the top rather than somewhere in the middle or in the bottom, right? So here's how I went about it. So I went and tried some modeling techniques with acute observation on how he went about the whole sales conversation, and then had a chat with him about how is he able to do what he's doing. Now here's a catch. You might like something in somebody, you might want to do it exactly the way that person is doing, but if you were to directly go and ask somebody, oh, how can you pose so well for photographs, or how do you take such great selfies, or how do you do such fantastic videos, or how do you close customers so well, they may really not be able to readily give you a great answer, because so many programs happen inside our mind that many people, what they do actually and what they think they do are actually pretty different, and not many will be able to articulate as to what are they exactly doing or how are they exactly going about something which makes them good or excellent at whatever it is that they do. This is where Sue talks about a concept in fact called how people used to learn by this thing called sitting by Nelly. Now sitting by Nelly is of course a metaphor for picking up from other people who are around you, and then she makes a very beautiful statement. She says now that totally depends on how efficient Nelly is in terms of being able to transfer the knowledge or the teachings to you. True, right? So coming back to my experience about how did I go about modeling this star sales performer, especially with regards to the closing technique. That's another thing about modeling. Of course, you can model people like at a broader level. Like I was telling you, like in my previous video, whenever I'm interviewing someone, I do remember an Oprah Winfrey or a David Letterman. So yes, at a broader level, with some amount of good observation, you can model a lot of things. But if you want to really go deep into it, then here's how I would suggest you go about it. Pick, even if it is like the tiniest element, the smallest bit, and especially if that's a bit you want to pick up on, then pick up that bit and try and model it by discovering more with that person who's good at that. So here's what I did. I asked this guy, what exactly happens when you're about to close a sale? And that guy very casually answered, what do you mean what happens? I'm excited. I'm like, okay, we are coming to the close of this conversation, and I'm going to take back to the office some great business for my organization, and I'm going to once again make some kick-ass incentives. You got what I mean? This is what he's thinking when he's about to close a conversation. Now compare that with what is going on in my mind. In my mind, I'm literally telling the Gayatri mantra, and I'm like, Guy, please sign the check, please give me the order. I don't want to listen to my boss breathing down my neck tomorrow onwards. Can you see what a big difference that was? So that is the belief that he was holding when he was nearing the close of the conversation. And then I asked him, okay, so how are you able to do it? What do you see yourself as? And he again snapped at me. What do you mean, what do you see yourself as? Can't you see my name is always at the top of the league table? I'm a star performer. I'm a star sales guy. And I want to be able to continuously, sell well. Now, with these things that he said, he communicated both what is the identity that he is holding while he's trying to close the customer, and also what is it that he chooses for himself, which means he wants the sale, he wants it badly enough, and also he looks at himself as a star performer. Now, when I reflected back to what's going on in my mind, when I'm actually trying to close a sale, I'm like, I just hope I'm not at the bottom of the table. I really want to move somewhere at least above. So how do you think I obviously dealt with the customer? The same way, when I asked him, what exactly do you realize, you say, what do you feel is a powerful thing to say? And to which he actually said, I don't think so much when I'm trying to close with the customer. I actually just tell him, so you must be wondering if I have any attractive installment options. And I was like, since I knew a bit of NLP, I realized that what he used there is something called presupposition. If you watch my video on hypnotic language, you will see that there is something called presupposition. So which means when he actually is telling the customer, so you must be wondering what attractive installment options I have, he's already presupposed certain things. That the sale has already been made, the customer has already bought the product, he has said yes to me as a salesperson, my product is worth its salt, the customer will enjoy buying from me or interacting with me or doing business with me and my firm. This contrasting with me, where when it came to actually talking about anything related to money, my voice would completely go silent. And I would be like, very meekly, I would say, sir, so what do you think? So will you want to go ahead? And I'm like, no wonder. But I learned my lesson. And I thought, baby steps, because I know overnight I cannot become Ankush. If you watch my previous video, you know that the sales guy that I'm talking about, his name is Ankush, and he was my colleague in one of the organizations where I was in sales. So I realized that I can't become Ankush in a single day, and neither was there a necessity. But then I realized that I have cracked the magic code. I have cracked what makes Ankush sell the way he sells and remain top performer month on month. And guess what did I do? I actually changed my whole approach during those last 10 minutes in the conversation. Today, you want me to ask you for money? Well, I'll be all ready and I'll all go for it. Try engaging with me for business and you'll really discover that I'm able to do it in a super comfortable manner because I follow the structure. I have modeled the strategy that Ankush did. I'm sure you also have your Ankush in your life in different areas, correct? Why don't you go ahead and model? That's modeling for you guys. When you model, you do tend to you can very easily reproduce excellence. You can reproduce somebody's mental strategies because that's what makes them stars. I'm sure you also want to be a star, right? I definitely want. Thank you so much for watching Slate with Anita. Don't go anywhere. Come back to me week after week. I'll have something or the other exciting planned